Hi, teammates. Welcome to the Live Well podcast, the podcast that connects you to all the topics to meet you along your well-being journey. I'm one of your hosts, Jen Collings.
I'm Cindy Patterson.
And I'm Seth Christopher. Welcome to the Well.
Hi, teammates. Welcome to the Well. We have another of our financial episodes today. Seth, welcome. We are in mid-September.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are rocking and rolling as always. Beautiful time of year, beautiful show. Cindy, welcome. Looking forward to our conversation today.
Hey guys, I'm excited to be here and really excited for what we're going to talk about today.
Our topic today is going to be real life retirement. And instead of any fluffy words, I say we get right into it. Seth, do you have some fast facts for us around this topic today?
Let's get it. Americans are living longer and hopefully healthier lives. When Social Security was introduced, the average life expectancy for men was 58 and 62 for women. Now, we have an average life expectancy of 76 for men and 81 for women. Fast fact, the average retirement age in the US is currently 64. In fact, Americans are spending 12 to 17 years in retirement on average. So if we're thinking about beginning with the end in mind, and today's topic being real life retirement, I think these statistics are pretty well placed for our conversation. So let's dig in a little bit. What do you say? Let's dive deeper into the well.
Agreed, Seth. Those statistics are somewhat sobering if you think about spending 12 to 17 years in retirement. A lot of us have been saving for retirement for quite a long time. We know we're going to retire someday, and we know we'll need money. Most of us have never taken time to think about what type of day-to-day life we are hoping to fund. Today, we're going to ask 3 questions that are designed to help us picture exactly what we want our future life to be like. So, Cindy, share our 3 questions, and then we'll walk through those.
Okay, absolutely. So I know when I first told you guys about this subject, it seemed a little crazy, but there's a method to the madness. So what I hope that this conversation will help us all do is connect our savings to a purpose. You know, a lot of times my previous life, I would travel around, I'd talk to people, and I'd always say, what do you want to do when you retire? And I would get a very general answer. People more often than not would say, I want to travel. I get that, but I want to talk about getting up in the morning. You don't have to go to work. What are you going to do, and how are you going to make that happen? So our first question that I want everybody to ponder is, who will change my light bulbs? Who will change my light bulbs represents being able to live independently where you want to be. Most of us, we know, want to age in place, and that just means that we want to stay in our house. We don't want to be dependent on our family members. We don't want to have to go to an assisted living facility if we can help it. We know that there are still expenses associated with maintaining our household. And as a matter of fact, the fact that housing is our most expensive category of our budget does not change when we're retired. That still represents around 34 to 35% of our monthly budget. I did some research online, and I found a site called Financial Samurai, and they had studied this and said that retirees spend around $1,300 a month on housing. So that is not different than what it looks like while we're working. We need to think about that. Not only do we need to plan to still be able to pay for that, but we need to have a plan for the maintenance and services that come with housing that will allow us to continue to live on our own.
So while the income from work may not be coming in, the regular monthly expenses don't go away.
Right.
And I got to tell you, you're talking about who will change my light bulbs. I ask that question now.
Well, so I do too. And I moved last November, and I moved by myself. And every single thing that I did, from changing my chandelier in the dining room to replacing the batteries in the smoke detectors high up in the ceiling, I thought to myself, I'm lucky I can still do this, but there's going to be a day when I can't. And who's in place to help me? If you've got a list of folks that you turn to in your community for help with your home maintenance, make sure that you maintain those relationships, that you trust them, that you've got that lined up so that when the day comes that you can't clean your gutters anymore, you've got somebody there who can help you. Now's the time to make those plans for your day-to-day activities. Another thing you might want to think about is housekeeping, like light housekeeping. There may be a time where not only do you not feel like doing it, maybe you're just tired of doing it. So, yeah, are there people you could call in to help you do some of that stuff? Grocery delivery, I think we've all realized during the pandemic that is a good idea. Luckily, we can continue to do that, and who knows what other kind of technology might enhance our lives as we get older, but we can definitely set up deliveries from Walmart, from the grocery store, from Amazon to get the things we need. Another thing that I never considered before was just your weekly, or however often you do it, your laundry. Now, that seems simple, like you just put your clothes in the washer. They're not heavy. There's nothing that really changes about that. But what if your washer and dryer are upstairs or in the basement? Are you always going to be able to carry it where you need to carry it to do it and then carry it back? So thinking through the things that we just take for granted on a daily basis will help us to put the plans in place to be able to be independent for a very long time.
And continue to frame that up. I mean, we think about, if we're looking at, most of the people listening to us right now are working. They don't always connect that savings and the why, right? Like, what am I doing this for? And I'm a big believer in beginning with the end in mind, and knowing what you're working towards and what that future self will look like. And I think sometimes you hit the nail on the head. We might see ourselves traveling the islands on a boat, or doing something fantastic in other places. And in most instances, we still end up living a daily life. We still have bills. We still have things we have to consider. And that's not to say we won't get to do those fantastic things. I mean, that's all part of a sound saving strategy. But at the end of the day, being realistic about what's to come and what's on the other side of retirement, I think is important and helps to give context.
Yeah, and so maybe we will do our traveling when we're in our 70s and can still get around like we've always been able to. But what about when we're in our mid-90s? That's a different story. So you're right, we have to save with a purpose.
Well, and if you don't have connections in place for people to come over and help, so that church, family members, then I would think that you would need to save extra money to pay someone to do those things. Housekeeper, sending your laundry out, a handyman, that type. So, I mean, could be, if the end is what we're having in mind, we have to look really realistically and humbly at the whole situation and save appropriately.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. So what is question number 2? I love this one.
I was going to say, this is my personal favorite. This one hit really close to home. The question is, how will I get an ice cream cone? And that question represents your quality of life and the things that just bring you joy. What do you like to do? Think about those things now, because that's not going to change, especially when we have more time to do those things. So can you easily get to the things that you enjoy? What if you can't drive anymore? how will you continue to do those things that enhance your life? We know that being close to a college or university can have some advantages because there are oftentimes plays and concerts and events that we can attend there, usually for free or for very small cost. So are you able to get to things like that? If you like to be outdoors, are you close to parks or trails? Do you like to be on the lake? What does it take to do that? You also might want to think about different types of community groups that you belong to that really enhance your life and the things that you enjoy. So I think you mentioned earlier, Jen, church. Do you belong to church groups that you can still maintain contact with? Maybe somebody there will eventually be able to pick you up and take you to the luncheons and parties and things that you have. Maybe you're a veteran and you want to join a veterans group so you can talk about things you have in common with other people. Also, your school alumni chapters or fraternity and sorority chapters that you were involved in, go ahead and connect to those. Think about the fun things that you might be able to do. I know my alumni association before COVID used to take trips together, so you could sign up online to go to trips, in all different kinds of places with a group of people you knew you had some things in common with. You also might want to check into volunteering for the things that you're passionate about. So when you have more leisure time, you're going to be able to fill it with those things that bring you joy. Think about what they are now, from the most mundane, like going to the ice cream parlor to get your sundae, to the bigger things like, how can I get up in the morning with a purpose and continue to contribute to my community?
Yeah, and I think this is a question that's worth answering right now. I think this is something that we struggle to think about. I know I struggle to think about it. Like, what brings me joy? I have a few checklist items, and I know we talk about it a lot here, but it's never always top of mind, despite how often we hear, hey, what brings you joy in life? Sitting down and really doing that inventory and finding that connection, your purpose, right? Like what fulfills me, what fills my cup, what gets me going, like what excites me and what gives me value in this world that I live in, and how am I giving that value to others? Like, what transcends me to that place? And I think the sooner you get that sense of self-being and sense of self-awareness, the easier this conversation, and you can put yourself in those shoes. Because I know right now when you say ice cream cone, I'm thinking, well, you just mentioned I can go to online delivery for grocery stores. I can get it there. But in all seriousness, it's all about kind of putting that in context of understanding how these decisions and how this understanding of the world can impact you down the road.
Yeah, and I think right now, if I think about the things that bring me joy, I don't even take time to think about it. If I, like, for example, I love the Greenway. When I want to go, I just get in the car and do it, and I don't think about that. What would happen if I couldn't drive myself to the Greenway? Or what would happen if I couldn't afford to pay the membership cost? Or what would happen if I couldn't afford to take my dog to the dog park anymore? These are things that don't even register in my mind as I do them now. But I don't want to stop doing that when I retire. So you're exactly right, Seth.
And for those of us that we find joy and our soul is fed through our work, it might be a really great idea to find something in addition to that, because if that is where your identity lies, that's going to go when you retire, that's going to go away. So we want to have something in addition to our work. We work in a hospital system. Our work is extremely rewarding, and we have, our teammates are some of the most caring teammates across the nation, but the work won't always be there. So it's a great idea to look at places. You mentioned volunteering. If work feeds your soul, maybe you move into a volunteer role that does something similar.
Exactly, because we know that over the course of our careers, we've developed some really important skills that translate well to help in community organizations. So definitely think about that. But you're kind of also bringing me to my next question, Jennifer, and this is, I think, the most important one, and that is, who will I have lunch with? And this question is designed to get us in the frame of mind about maintaining a healthy social life. When I think of my best friends, 99% of them are people I've met through work. And that's going to go away someday. And it's not going to be an easy adjustment. Have you had experience with that in your past, Jen?
I actually really have. So I used to be a health coach, and I would coach people either coming up to retirement or who were in retirement, and they find their identity in work. And when the work is no longer there, there's a grieving period that happens. And I would talk to people, and there would be grief, there would be depression, they would just lose that self-identity. And they could go years like that before finding a way to come out of it. And it just, we don't want to waste time. We want to be aware that this is going to happen and start branching out with our social network now, as before retirement. If you're a teammate who is nearing retirement, it's never too late. Understand that when we retire, it's a huge life shift. It's a change. We're going to grieve. We're going to have to readjust, but be prepared and try to find the positive parts to that and find social networks that can help you.
Yeah, absolutely, because we know that isolation is not good for our mental or physical health at all. It takes a toll on us, and men especially are more likely to let relationships take a back seat. So I'm calling out to all the guys listening to please not let that happen. When I think of my own family, my dad would be content to sit at home and watch TV all the time. But my stepmom plans things for them to do with other people. So they have a group that they go to dinner with, and then they have a group that they meet with at church. And so don't let that happen to you. Social networks can do a lot more for us than just giving us, people to gossip with. When you have someone who's meeting you on a regular basis, they're noticing when you're not healthy. So my mom's neighborhood has a group of men who get up every morning and go to have their coffee together. And the great thing about that is that if one person doesn't show up, there are 8 more people who are going to look for him. If someone comes and he's starting to repeat himself, or maybe not describe things using the proper words anymore, or if he's not getting around as well as he used to, that's a group of people who are going to notice and be able to help him follow up and show concern for how his health is going. And so we've got to make sure that we're connected with people. Even if you join a gym, maybe you meet people around the same age group who can do the same classes. I know when I go to my pool here, I see a group of older guys who swim laps together, and they're in excellent shape. So that's kind of like a goal for me. I see how well they're doing because they have each other. This one is just huge. So we've got to make it a priority.
And I'm glad you highlighted the specifics around loneliness. I mean, this is a huge body of research that's growing right now, given the way things have been the last almost 2 years at this point. Loneliness and isolation and how it impacts your overall well-being. I think we often have thought about that in the context of the retirement ages and the older ages and really being separated. But this is something that if not addressed now, you're only talking about expounding those impacts or effects later on as you get to that age. And so, I think this is great advice, really starting to build those networks, reach out to a colleague, do that now. Reach out to your community, do that now. Reach out to someone if you need help, do that now. Set yourself up to be successful. So as you get further down the road on your journey and you get to the age group that we're talking about here, in retirement and a little bit later in life, like you hopefully have stepped outside of your comfort zone, developed the skill set, and just taken the leap to reach out and get that help and build that network and get the support that you might need, that we all need at every day. So making sure that we're keeping ourselves at the front.
Yep. Life is too precious to waste any time not being happy. So put all the pieces in place now so that your transition can be smooth and you can enjoy every minute of retirement.
This is such a great topic that we've gone through. Let's kind of put some final points on our message today.
So once you have a realistic picture of how your days will be filled in retirement, and it will be easier just to connect your current savings to your future self. So what I'm doing now and how that sets me up to be successful later. Just be sure you're saving enough and investing appropriately so you can fund the things that are important to you. Digging in a little bit, we covered a lot. This is a very deep topic, can be very personal for a lot of folks. Jen, what exactly did we learn today?
Well, as a society, we are living much longer now than we were before, and some of us can spend at least a decade in retirement. So that's a really long time that we need to prepare. What I've really enjoyed and hope that our teammates walk away with is this was more than just a financial discussion today. You know, saving for retirement is one thing, but we must plan for retirement living. We discussed 3 questions that teammates can start thinking about regarding their retirement living. If you're aging in place, who will be there to help you with common household activities? Ask yourself what brings you joy. Will you still be able to enjoy these things and the activities, or do you need to find something new? If you are not sure what brings you joy, if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I don't know, start thinking about that now. Don't wait. Find things that make you happy and feed your soul. Also, we talked about how to maintain a healthy social life. It's important for the joy and quality of life through personal connections. Don't put this off either. Do this now. Planning for retirement doesn't have to start when you retire. We want to plan financially and socially now.
And we've got a lot of resources that are available for teammates. Cindy may be able to articulate them a bit better, but understanding your 401k, we've got some videos out there that are available, some resources out there on the teammate site to better explain and help you to understand how you can contribute to your future self by using that as a vehicle, in addition to potentially if you're on the health savings plan or one of the LiveWell accounts, then you have the ability to use that money as a potential vehicle to retirement as well. So there are a lot of different ways to get there, and everyone's situation's different. We've got some great partners that we work with in Power Retirement that can also provide a great resource for you to better understand where you are and how you can get from there to where you want to be in your retirement.
Our next podcast will be airing September 23rd, and we will be discussing rest and recovery. It's important to take some time off from the activities that we do all the time, things like exercising, work, caregiving, and just overall stressing. On this podcast, we will discuss the benefits of rest and how to incorporate rest and recovery into your regular routine.
And teammates, don't forget to visit the LiveWell website for more info on managing stress, working with a LiveWell health coach, how to connect with a dietitian, and by the way, visit the Well site that's also there.
Our resources are listed at the end of the show, and we'll add links to the programs discussed today in the comments on our Streams channel.
Looking for more things Live Well? Not following our Streams channel yet? Search The Well on Streams in Office 365 or find us on the Live Well website to access all our content.
Thanks for listening to The Well today.
Stay safe
and live well.